Hey everyone, James Azar here with the CyberHub podcast. Good morning. It's Tuesday. In these uncertain times, I was on a call right before I got on this podcast recording, and someone said, "Can 2020 end early?" And my answer to that was, I don't think so. It's just too wacky for that to happen. With that being said, with all the unrest, and we'll address some of that in one of our stories today, we're going to go ahead and get into our practitioner brief for June 2nd, 2020. And let's get right into this one here, folks. So yesterday we talked about VMware security vulnerabilities. Well, last night and this morning, the VMware Cloud Director vulnerability could lead to a hijack of enterprise server infrastructure. VMware has patched a vulnerability in the VMware Cloud Director that could be exploited to perform code execution attacks and take over private clouds. The VMware Cloud Director, known as the vCloud Director, is a cloud service delivery platform used for purposes including virtual data center management, data center expansion, and cloud migration to host automation tools. The software is used by cloud service providers and enterprise companies worldwide. The CVE is 2020-3956, and this vulnerability was essentially found through a security audit, a pen test that was done by a company, by one of the companies, by a cybersecurity company that actually, where this specific VMware product is being used by a Fortune 500 enterprise. And that's how they actually discovered this vulnerability. Very, very interesting. Nonetheless, shows you that sometimes a pen test is critical and crucial to discovering vulnerabilities, not only for your organizations, but really across the entire enterprise. The other story for today is Apple has issued a critical iPhone update with important security fixes. 13.5.1 is the new iOS. If you haven't updated your phone, folks, go do so now, please. Update patch basic blocking and tackling, but essentially ensures that no one can take advantage of bad software. And I want to move to our third and fourth stories. They're more theoretical, less patching, but more to do with how we explain cyber and the impacts of cybersecurity. The first one is, if you don't live in Twitterverse, I don't know what universe you live on, but the hacker group Anonymous took credit for an attack that took down the Minneapolis Police Department website and also published a set of email addresses and password it claimed to have stolen. Troy Hunt, the security researcher and founder of Have I Been Pwned, a friend of the show, looked at the list and said 95% of these information was already released in previous breaches, so it's nothing new. There's been multiple signs that there's been a ton of leaked credentials from municipalities and police departments. He's found 87 instances of email addresses that repeated. If it was a legitimate hack, Troy says, the database would not have had the same email addresses with different passwords. Not every headline is true. A lot of people are trying to take advantage of this situation in so many ways. It does nothing to really honor George Floyd, but it also helps us understand, folks, that we need to better explain what's going on. And we're seeing that unrest has now led to cyber groups trying to claim old data as new data in order to just further divide and create more division. And we ought to fix that. We really ought to fix it. And I'm not going to get more into that than this. That's not the point of our podcast. It's not this one, at least. Our final story is one that we spoke about a week ago, where we really took a deep dive into the Israel-Iran cyber war. Well, Igal Una, who's the Director General of Israel's National Cybersecurity Directorate, said last week in a virtual conference that the Iranian attack on the Israel water facility was designed to increase the levels of chlorine in Israel's water supply in order to get thousands, if not millions, of residents in Israel sick. Iran denies this, obviously, for the sake of full disclosure. Iran did come out and say, no way, we would never do this. These are the same people that launched missiles and drones at Saudi oil fields and stone and kill their people who don't agree with their policies in their own country. So I take that at a value of what it really is. According to Yigal Una and several people we've spoken with in Israel, the attack was stopped, and that's what led Israel to launch the counterstrike on the Iranian port that shut down that port, created essentially a non-functioning water port, the biggest for Iran. Untold losses. This talk, we often talk about IT, but this is definitely OT, folks, and this could have been really, really bad, and it just shows how Israel was prepared for this, and they were able to immediately tackle this attack and get rid of it and ensure that the goals of the Iranian hackers weren't accomplished and done by the Iranian regime. But it also brings up where we need to also be able to discuss OT technology and how cyber does threat that and what happens when someone takes down a grid. And we always talk about that as kind of a 0-day doomsday zombie apocalypse type of thing. But the fact that Iran attempted to make a cyber breach like this is a declaration of war. And had it been successful, it would have been a full declaration of war. And we could be dealing with another Middle Eastern war. Whether we're a part of it, whether we're backing Israel through air support or anything like that. Cyber is going to be the opening shot of the next war, folks. And we ought to start educating ourselves, our families, and our friends, and our businesses. We've spoken about COVID-19 extensively. Well, this specific story here highlights the fact that we also need to plan for other things that could impact our business operations and our family operations and our daily lives. And Mark Hopt, who's a friend of the show, been on the Sister Talk podcast in his in our Cyber State of the Union. We'll have another one coming up on our Sister Talk podcast in the next few weeks. Pat, Mark, and I will be sitting down again and trying to go over just what the hell were we thinking when we spoke in February before COVID-19 and what's really happened since. With that being said, folks, I think we're all set for today's daily cyber briefing. If you like this, subscribe, comment below. Listen to us on your favorite podcast listening platform. Go to cyberhubpodcast.com to get our PDF with all the links. We do have the link for the VMware update and workarounds available on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. That's it for me here today. Make sure you subscribe, follow us, and until next time, folks, stay cyber safe.